I can remember when first moving to Texas, I was exhausted. I was worn out. I was doing so many things
Mm-hmm.
in ministry. I believe at that time I was our church secretary. I was traveling with my cousin in itinerant evangelistic ministry. And I remember getting to our church in Dallas, the Potter's house, saying, I ain't doing nothing. Mm-mm. And it was a lot smaller than it is now. I think when I joined the Potter's House, I think it was like, and this is gonna sound not small, but it might have been 2,500, 3,000 members at the juncture I joined in 97. 98 was 98. Um, but coming from a church of a couple of hundred, that was large, and I was like, oh, this is big enough for me just to almost like get lost in the sauce and sit back and just rest and refresh and let somebody pour into me because I was exhausted. And so, um, of course, being born and raised in the church, I didn't sit long. I had to do something. But anywho, that's beside the point. I wonder how many people don't have that. I had the opportunity because I moved to a new state, a new
Mm-hmm.
city, and had a whole new church that didn't know anything about
Mm-hmm.
me. But how many people are in churches right now exhausted because we don't take, I was about to say we can't, well, we can. We don't take the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to take care of ourselves. We don't take the opportunity to say no when it's necessary. And I realize that for a lot of us, no is hard, especially saying no to leadership is difficult because depending on your church organization or depending on your leader,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that is looked at
Right.
like saying I was just talking to someone recently um, that some people feel like saying no to your leaders like saying no to God.
I'm gonna let church girl chat. We're keeping it real. Faith, life, and love. The way that we feel. Laughing, talking, praying too. It's a sisterhood made just for you. We've got wisdom, we've got grace. Walking with Jesus every day. Come on in, don't look back. Welcome to Church Girl Chats.
Hey
I'm
everybody,
gonna
it
let
is your girl Coach Cheryl,
I'm Valerie,
and welcome to
Church
Church
Girl
Girl
Chat.
Chats. One day we're gonna do that in harmony.
One day.
Not today. Thank you all for joining us again. I'm so glad to have you. We've been in this series on the Unchained Church Girl. And before we jump in on today's um, episode, I want to just kind of relive something. I can remember a season of my life feeling so overwhelmed with what I had going on in church, wearing so many hats, doing so many things, and just feeling like if somebody give me one more thing, I know something. And being asked the question, "Hey, Cheryl, how you doing?" and just saying, "Oh, I'm doing okay," but like not be doing okay. Let me know in the comments if you can resonate with that, or if you have ever felt like that, like you've been overwhelmed, or if something was going on in your life and then someone asked you how you were doing, but not feeling free enough to be honest with like saying how you felt, feeling like you had to like wear this mask of always doing okay, always being fine, always being the strong friend, and not feeling like you would be maybe seen differently if there was a day that you weren't feeling okay.
I would venture to say that there are thousands and thousands of women in the church who feel exactly like that, um, but feel like if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. Um, and maybe not just feeling like that, knowing that if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. And so they just continue to
burn themselves down, burn themselves out because they just, you know, have that obligation to do so.
And that's what I wanted to we're gonna hone in on today, because last week we talked about the culture that shaped us. Growing up in church, how you were shaped by the culture, the organization, the local church, the friend group that you were around. And on this week, we're going to talk about what it cost you, what that shaping cost you, the things that you carry that maybe you shouldn't be carrying, that obligation that you feel that really may not be your obligation, that maybe things will not fall apart
Right.
if you don't do something, that maybe it opens up an opportunity for someone else
Right.
to step in and fill in the gap. And so we're going to kind of dive in on that. And our first segment is going to be called the burnout check. So the first question I want to kind of pose is, have you ever felt like you wanted to say no to someone, but like you just said, that you felt like things wouldn't work if you said no, or if it wouldn't get done if you didn't do it?
I have actually felt like saying no before, and have actually said no before. And the person that I said no to, it didn't go over quite well for me.
Oops.
Yeah, because I felt like out of all of the people in the church, they just kept asking me over and over and over, because I'm generally, how they say it, a willing worker.
Willing workers.
Generally, I'm a willing worker, and I usually go along, you know, go along to get along. And this particular time, I was just like burnt out, fed up, and I said no. I meant it. I didn't do what they asked me to do, but you know, it came with a cost. But I lived.
You lived to tell the story.
You know, and I also have another example of, and I'm not going to necessarily say, I don't think it was manipulation. I just felt like the person didn't have anybody else to ask. Okay. So it was actually a pastor's wife. And she asked me to do something, and I said, I really can't because my plate is full. And the response I got back from her was, well, get a platter.
I have a question. Don't y'all have questions too?
I was told to get a platter when I said my plate was full.
I have a question.
I'm sure you do. Go ahead.
She's sure I do. How was that not manipulation?
I said I don't think it was manipulation. I just thought she didn't have anybody else that she could ask, a reliable person that she could ask.
But here's me and my analytical mind. Y'all get to see it going to work. Could she have not said that?
Yes, she could have said that.
Like for me, if I'm in a pickle, and number one, I know that you're a willing worker, and my back is against the wall, and I ask you to do something, and you say, "Hey, my plate is full. There's something else to take." My response to you, if I really, really needed you, would like, I have nobody else to ask, and I know this is an imposition, but if you could help me out, that would have been my response, or I think the response of somebody that really is under the gun and they're really needing help, instead of get a what? Get a platter.
I tell no lies. Get a platter.
And for me, and y'all I need y'all to respond to this one. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
For me, that would have felt like manipulation. And that would have felt like, to me, even though that may not have been her heart, that would have felt like, to me, like you don't care. You are basically saying to me, I don't care that your plate is full. I don't care that you have so much stuff. I need something done, and I need you to figure out how you're going to do it. Yeah. That's how that would read to me.
Right.
And so even if I did it, I can't say that there wouldn't have been a little bitterness. Like, that joker just said to me, get a platter. And so I knowing me, I might have done it. Because if that was my leader, I might have done it. But it would have colored and changed the way I saw that person.
But that goes in our previous segment that we did,
Mhm.
that goes back to church culture.
Yep, you're right.
That goes back to church culture because I if my recollection serves me correct,
Mhm.
I think I actually did call her out on. Wait, I just told you my plate is full, and you told me to get a platter.
Mhm.
Now, I believe she laughed because this has been some years. I believe she laughed and
Right.
said, "That's what somebody told me when I told them my plate was full." So she was just saying something that somebody else had said to her when she said her plate was full.
Okay.
And I guess she figured she did it, that I would naturally do what she was asking as well.
So it sounds like it was a pattern that's being passed down.
Right.
Where and that may be where we get this cyclical culture happening
Mm-hmm.
from generation to generation,
Mm-hmm.
is we don't do things out of service to the Lord a lot of times.
Right.
We do things out of obligation
Right.
to maybe our leadership,
Mm-hmm.
because they need us, they want us, and hear me when I say I am all for being under leadership. I don't mind being under leadership. I have wonderful leaders, and when I am asked to do something, 9 times out of 99.99, I am going to do this because I know they need help, or I know they wouldn't have asked
Right.
if there wasn't a need.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes we have to be careful as leaders now, that we don't um, exert our will on people, or we don't overextend people. Because I know there was a statistic a long time ago. I don't know if it holds true now, but that 20% of your church members are going to do all the work.
Right.
And so you keep consistently going to those 20% because by now they do it really well.
Exactly.
And so you never give opportunity for that 80% to step up to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
And no, when that 80%, when they step up, no, they might not do it perfectly.
Right.
They may not do it exactly like you want it, but if you continue to allow them opportunity to grow, to develop, to get skill, they'll
Right.
get better
Right.
at it. But if you keep, inundating that 20%, you're gonna burn them out.
Right. Exactly.
And that's when you see church creep. That's what I got. That was a new word. Y'all like that? I just came up with that. People leaving churches because they are burned out.
Yeah.
I can remember when first moving to Texas, I was exhausted. I was worn out. I was doing so many things in ministry. I believe at that time I was our church secretary. I was traveling with my cousin in itinerant evangelistic ministry. And I remember getting to our church in Dallas, the Potter's house, saying, I ain't doing nothing. Mm-mm. And it was a lot smaller than it is now. I think when I joined the Potter's house, I think it was like, and this is gonna sound not small, but it might have been 2,500, 3,000 members at the juncture I joined in 97. 98 was 98. Um, but coming from a church of a couple of hundred, that was large, and I was like, oh, this is big enough for me just to almost like get lost in the sauce and sit back and just rest and refresh and let somebody pour into me because I was exhausted. And so, um, of course, being born and raised in the church, I didn't sit long. I had to do something. But anywho, that's beside the point. I wonder how many people don't have that. I had the opportunity because I moved to a new state, a new city, and had a whole new church that didn't know anything about me. But how many people are in churches right now exhausted because we don't take, I was about to say we can't, but we can. We don't take the opportunity to take care of ourselves. We don't take the opportunity to say no when it's necessary. And I realize that for a lot of us, no is hard, especially saying no to leadership is difficult because depending on your church organization or depending on your leader, sometimes that is looked at like saying, I was just talking to someone recently, um, that some people feel like saying no to your leaders, like saying no to God, and that we've given our leadership such um, a strong voice and strong presence
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes, and this is me, that we may elevate their voices above the voice of God. Um, and I will say this again, I'm not saying to not um, be under good leadership, and not to esteem leadership, because I esteem all of my leaders, but I can't say yes to everything,
Right.
and still maintain sanity and still do the things that I need to do in my life. And but I think that sometimes, or what do you think? And let's pose it like this: what do you think are some of the reasons that people have difficulty saying no?
Because of upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
because of the things they were taught as children, um, that you should make yourself available for God's service. Whatever thy hand findeth to do, do it with
Mm-hmm.
all thy might, which means that you should not be sitting idle. You should be finding something to do here in the house of God. Um, so I believe that that is ingrained from knee high all the way up to adulthood,
Yeah.
and that there is never a season where you should um, have a seat and recuperate um,
Right.
from just steadily working, because I can almost guarantee you that the people that are doing the most work are probably the ones that are being fed less than the ones that are being idle, because they all, their mind is always running, always moving, trying to figure out what's the next step, what's the next thing on the to-do list, that as the word is going forth, they are present physically, but they are not present mentally.
That is so true. And I can remember when we were in when we were living in Dallas, one of the things I so appreciated about our ministry when we were in Dallas was that every person that was doing any kind of service work, whether
Mm-hmm.
you were working the parking lot, whether you were um, in the back with the tape ministry, every person that was in a service capacity
Mm-hmm.
always got the CD or the DVD of that church service, because they knew
Mm-hmm.
you're not listening,
Mm-hmm.
you are serving, you are working. And
Mm-hmm.
so while everybody else is seated and being served and being fed, the people that are doing the work are not.
Right.
And even sometimes I know we are, for our church, we do our media ministry, and so we're doing all the live streaming. And so sometimes people will ask, well, how was this, how was that? I don't know. I was putting up screens and putting down lower thirds and putting up scriptures. I didn't listen, because I have you have to be so,
Attentive.
yet to all the moving parts in the service. So we're so busy working that we don't get fed like that. So for me, a lot of times I have to get fed after service or before service or during the week. I'm
Yeah.
consistently feeding myself with our ministry, with other ministries, my
Mm-hmm.
own personal, worship and devotion. Because on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
chances are good.
Very high.
Chances are like 90%. I'm not listening during service. I don't know how bad that sounds, but I'm not. I am.
And it does sound bad, but that those are the facts, and you can check anybody in any church, in any organization that is in a serving role or capacity, and they will most likely tell you the same thing, that they are paying attention to their responsibilities, that they are not focused on what is being given across the pulpit, because if I pay attention to what is being said across the pulpit, I'm gonna miss what scripture you call for me to throw up on the screen. I'm gonna miss it because I'm in tune with what you're saying. Now, if you are somebody, I don't know what your role is, but if you are somebody that can do your job and stay on top of your task and listen at the same time, you good.
You good.
You good.
You good.
But I promise, if you if you are going to do
or serve in your role in any level of excellence, you are most likely in the service physically, but not mentally as far as receiving the word. You just can't.
Yeah, that is so true. Because there has been times where I may have been paying attention to the service, and I'm like, "Oh, they moved. I need to change cameras."
Exactly. That has
Like,
happened to
oops!
me a
Oh
lot.
my goodness, he over there.
Yeah, he done moved. He not in the shop no more. Lord have mercy. You know.
Yeah, and so you're so distracted
Mm-hmm.
because there's so much that you are responsible for, and like you said, if you're gonna operate in excellence in that service role that God has gifted you to do, then you're either gonna have to watch the service after the service or
Mm-hmm.
later on in the week because you are only one person,
Mm-hmm.
and so and chances are the people that are doing all of that work Sunday after Sunday or Wednesday, and it's not just the Sunday, it's getting there the Saturday to set up for the Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and then getting to church early Sunday to set up for. So there's so much stuff that you can burn out.
Mm-hmm.
My father always says, keep a good no in your pocket. And so sometimes you'll have to say no, and you'll have to be okay with the fallout that you may get or the looks that you may get, like, I can't believe you said no, or get another platter. The platter I did, I got a platter. The platter is now overflowing, and it'll it will, and I don't know how it's gonna sound, but I'm saying it'll force leadership to make sure that there is more than one person that can do that job function.
Right.
There is more than one person that
Mm-hmm.
can fill that role, because that's not even good for succession planning.
Right. It
To
isn't.
have one or two people
Uh-huh.
that operate in a role, we have to start training
Yes.
other people. So number one, that the people can get a break.
Right. So you can rotate them out.
Yeah, like you serve on first Sunday, you do second Sunday, you do, instead of you serve every Sunday, and then there's the creep.
And then there's no backup. When they start to creep,
Right.
then you up the creek for real.
Right. All right, so we've said enough about that. So I want to move on to our next segment. We're going to talk about what we're going to call the perfectionism tax. And I know I have been guilty of trying to be perfect, trying to do everything um, just so, or having my life look like just so, even though some things may be just falling apart. I gotta hold it up, put on my good church face so nobody knows that things are falling apart. Nobody knows that I'm burnt out. Nobody knows that I'm bored. Nobody knows that I'm struggling in a certain area. So one of the questions I wanted to pose is, um, and I almost want to pose this one to the audience, but we're going to talk about it, and y'all can let us know in the comments. Does being a good church girl, does it mean that we've lost the ability or the permission to admit that when we're going through something, whether we are anxious about something, whether we're burnt out, or we're not feeling church. We are not our Christian lives feel flat. Feels like we plateaued, and there's something missing. Does being a good church girl, does that rob us of the opportunity to be vulnerable?
It shouldn't. It should not. But there are a lot of people that it does. For me, I'm just I've always been forthright, always been frank, never been a good liar. So if you ask me a question,
She gonna tell you.
I don't know how to tell a lie. I can't say I don't know how to tell a lie, but if I told it, you would know that I was lying. So that's what I mean when I say I've never been a good liar. So for me, it's just always worked out for me to just be honest and be frank about it. I'm trying to learn how to, how they say, season my words with grace. So I am learning that, and I think I'm progressing pretty good. But um, I have never had a problem saying, this is where I am, this is how I'm feeling, and this is what I think I need from you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that I'm probably an anomaly.
in that area, because there are a lot of people that would not,
Right.
because they don't want to let people down. They don't want to disappoint anybody. They don't want, any of the negative feedback that may come with declining an office or position or a responsibility. But myself, um, I now what I am learning to do upon a request from somebody is to give you an expectation. So if you're asking me my services in any capacity, and I know my plate is full right now, I will let you know I would love to do that. I'm not able to do it right now. Check back with me in 2, 3 weeks, month, however long, and then I'll see if I can, accommodate you. So I'm learning to do that
Okay.
versus just saying outright no, because it's always my heart to be able to help wherever I can, but I'm learning to also listen to my body,
Mm-hmm.
and that is something that I don't think that a lot of people do, is listen to what your body is saying, because your body is going to tell you before you get to a emergency that there is something going on. So I try to listen to my body, and when I start feeling like my body is sending me a signal
Mm-hmm.
that I might need to back up a little bit or I might need to slow down, and I try to obey what
Right.
my body is telling me, because the last thing I want to do is end up in the hospital, end up sick. I don't want to do any of that. So I try to do that, and that is important as women of faith, because we always want to, be whatever everybody needs, and we can't do that. But you also need to learn wisdom. And wisdom says if your body is saying you're tired, you're exhausted, then you need to take a rest. And you need to make it clear to everybody, I can't right now, but if you check with me in a couple of weeks, I'll revisit it and see if that's something I can do.
Yeah, I like that, and I because I think often in the Christian world, we would over spiritualize things.
Mm-hmm.
We would think that we would need to pray more, we would need to fast more. That was something that we needed to do. Well, sometimes we just needed a nap. We just yeah, we needed to rest, and like you said, we weren't listening to our bodies. We weren't listening to how our spirits felt about things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know even for me, God had to show me areas of pride
Mm-hmm.
in my life that would not allow me to admit
Mm-hmm.
where I was falling short, or admit I was tired, or to admit I needed help, or just to reach out to other people. And it was pride because it was like, well, what are they going to think? I'm the strong one. What are they going to think if they know I'm falling apart over here? That enough. And so God had to challenge me, like, look, that's pride.
Mm-hmm.
Where you keep doing stuff and you won't let anybody help you, or
Mm-hmm.
where you won't reach out and ask for help, or where you won't let people see the sides of you that are imperfect,
Mm-hmm.
that you're still working on. That's pride. And so nobody does it by
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and you have to be in a position where you know that, you recognize that, and you let people in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we all are have to examine what it is for us.
Right.
Because what it is for me, it may not likely be that for you. It may be something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to realize that we are people. We are flesh. We are human. And we cannot do everything. And even the things that we can do well, we cannot do perfectly. And we cannot do consistently without breaks. And I want to especially um, for people in ministry. And whether you're a pastor, minister, teacher, leader, whatever, you have to give yourself time,
Mm-hmm.
periodic times of rest, consistent times of rest, so that you won't get to the burnout phase, or
Mm-hmm.
you won't feel like taking a sabbatical means you've left the Lord,
Right.
or that if you miss a church service, then all of a sudden your salvation is going to be questioned. No, you were tired and you needed a nap and you needed time to, get yourself together. Because I remember, and because I speak and I keep telling y'all the Lord, He talks to me different. He yanks my chain. He just be like, just different. And so I remember, I had just finished speaking somewhere, and if you're a speaker, preacher, pastor, you may go through the same thing. And I remember after speaking somewhere, um, I didn't hear anybody really, say that they enjoyed it. Was it good or was it
Yeah.
bad? And so I was like talking to God. I said, "Well, Lord, this must have been awful," because nobody had said anything. And the Lord challenged me. He said, "Did you ask me if I was pleased? Did you ask me if you had done a good job? Did
Mm-hmm.
you ask me how it went?" He said, "You keep looking for people to affirm, whether it was good or not." He said,
Mm-hmm.
"Stop asking people. Start asking me. When
Mm-hmm.
you minister, you get back and you say, 'Lord, did I say what you said? Did I present it in a way that was full of love so that people could receive it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about what you gave me to say? Did I deliver what you gave me like you wanted?'" And so that changed and it shifted how I even approached
Mm-hmm.
speaking, how I even approached me. It's like, "Lord, this is for them. What do you have to say through me to them?" That's all I want to say is what you have to say to them. And if I say
Mm-hmm.
what you told me to say to them, I can't be concerned about how they
Right.
received it because, that's what he said. And so we have to be okay that we won't always get um, people's approval. That they may not like your no. They may
Mm-hmm.
not like the fact that you have decided that this is a rest season for you. But if you know that is what he said, rest. Rest to my child, rest. All right, let's jump over to our last segment, and it's going to be ministry as avoidance. Y'all heard that? Ministry as avoidance. Now, this may be a little confrontational. Um, or this may be step on a few toes because our question is it possible that some people stay busy in ministry because it's easier than dealing with what's going on with them?
Absolutely. A lot of I would venture to say, and this is just me throwing out a number. I don't have no statistics or anything to back it up, but I would
It's
say,
not a Barna study.
no, this is just me. I would venture to say probably 50% or more are probably staying busy so they don't have to deal with themselves.
I would I would agree, and because I know so many
Mm-hmm.
ministers, pastors, leaders, and because I traveled so extensively, um, and sitting at tables with pastors and bishops and leaders,
Mm-hmm.
um, I heard someone once say that sometimes we use church as a drug. It's where we go to get high. Some people drink,
Mm-hmm.
some people smoke, some people do drugs, and then some people use church as a drug to
Mm-hmm.
drown out some of the things that have gone on in their lives, some things that they're struggling with or they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see that in so many instances where it for some people it is avoidance. If I do this, then I don't have to think about
Mm-hmm.
um, something that I've just gone through
Right.
that was perhaps traumatic to me, and so I'll do this, and I will do this so that I can avoid thinking about that or avoid having to work through that trauma, having to work through um, that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so y'all let us know in the comments. I'm really interested to see how other people see that. Especially if you were raised in the church, you probably see it more than most people see it
Mm-hmm.
because you can recognize it. I think like people that haven't been that weren't born and raised in the church, or if you've been in church a long time, maybe not even born and raised, but if you've been in church
Uh-huh.
a long time, you can see it. It is I won't say it's obvious.
It's obvious.
Okay, she said it.
It is obvious because um, John 10:10 says, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. But then you see these people that just, where you going to church? Hey, you know so and so and so, and they ripping up and down the road from this place to that place, this concert to that concert. That and it's like, wait, you doing too much. You're doing way too much. And I think it is because they don't want to live with who they are, work out some situations that they have. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying that we don't all have situations, we do.
Right.
But in order for you to really spiritually mature, come from milk to meat,
Mhm.
you got to spend some time with you. You got to spend some time with, and I hate to say it like this, but this is how we say it in church. Deal with some of your own demons,
Mhm.
and you can't deal with them if you constantly running from this place to that place to this place to that place to this place to that place because oh they having a revival over here, oh they're having a singing over here, oh there's a concert over there, or there's a sit down.
Oh, she said.
And I don't mean that, I don't mean any harm
I know you don't.
by that, but sometimes you just need to how to be still.
Calm.
Sit with the Lord. Sit with the Lord.
and and don't be afraid um, to deal with what needs to be dealt with, because the longer you prolong it, the deeper that wound may be. And so, learning how to just deal with it is one of the reasons I created this quiz. It's called the Church Girl Archetype, because I think sometimes we live in systems, or we walk through systems, and we our life is manifesting something that we don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
And I created that quiz because I wanted us to be able to see what patterns we may have picked up. Are we walking through fear? Are we walking through regret? Are we walking through approval and performance? How do we show up in life, and how to, has um, what we've been through affected how we see God, how we experience Him. And so I'm going to drop a link in the show notes. I really want you all to take that
Yes,
quiz.
please do.
It's going to help you. Now, and let me say this, it's not diagnostic, it's not clinical. It's this, I am nobody's psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, and none of the things. But what it does is it helps you see patterns
Mm-hmm.
in your life. And then as you go through the process, it'll show you how to heal from some of the patterns that may be hurting your intimacy with God. Because a lot of us are so acquainted with church, but we do not know God.
Mm-hmm.
We are acquainted with rituals and with traditions and with systems, but as far as a personal relationship with God, some of us don't have that. And I think that's one of the things that the pandemic taught us,
Mm-hmm.
is when so many people started having church withdrawal, was that because you didn't have a God connection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was it different not having the fellowship of the saints? Absolutely. But I didn't fall apart because I didn't have a fellowship with the saints, because I had a fellowship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And that was important. That's what I drew on
Right.
in those moments when we couldn't be face to face. And so it's so important that we understand the systems, or the things that are driving us, and actually pinpoint those and then walk through healing. So
Right.
make sure that you take that quiz. And before we leave for this evening, just one question um, that I want you all to answer. And I want y'all to answer this honestly, even if you don't answer it in the comments. Answer it to yourself, to thy own self be true. And this question is, what is the one church job that you're doing right now purely out of guilt? It's not your calling. You don't have any joy about it. Um, just guilt. And I don't want you to try to explain it away. I just want you to name it. I just want you to see it and acknowledge. There's no joy. There's no calling here. I'm doing this because I feel guilty if I don't do it. I want y'all to think through that, and work through that, and sit with it. I want you to pray over it, to ask God to reveal things to you about it. Then this is the second thing I want you to do. I want you to practice. Let your neighbor say practice.
Practice.
Practice saying no. Practice saying no. Not no with like no, and the reason is because or no, but just like no, period.
Because it's a complete sentence.
It complete. Absolutely. Just even if you got to get in the mirror and practice it, like ask, like pretend somebody's asking you a question, say, no, I won't be able to do that this time. Thank you so much for your faith in me, but I'm not available. Just that. Not why I'm available, but next time, no. Can't do it. Practice that, and then get ready to see us on episode 3.
Now,
sorry.
Don't have that attitude with. Don't have that.
Okay, she told me to say nice. No, thank you. No, thank you. That's right. That's right. Gather me. Get me together. Not with an attitude. No, thank you. I can't this time. Praise God. Yeah, I can't. Okay, but I still can't. Anyway, say it nice and say it in love is what she's trying to say. Amen. That is correct. Say it nice and say it in love. But be sure to join us on our 3rd episode. It's going to be interesting. If y'all been enjoying this, let us know if you've been enjoying this episode. We've been enjoying going through it because it's, walking through it yourself. It helps us, again, to heal and to move forward. And we've been loving sharing these moments with you. And so until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to like and share.
Yes, like and share with everybody. See you next time.
I'm on a church girl chat. We're keeping it real.